Hello everyone, welcome back to another Adobe Photoshop CC tutorial. This one we're working in the new Photoshop CC 2018, and I'm going to show you how to, work with blend modes and how to add texture to your pictures, add photos, things like that, but you want to get a little rougher or some sort of, or a vintage type feature or texture. We can go ahead and do that quite easily, guys. Now I've gone ahead and selected some stock photography here. Here's just a picture of some flowers. I selected flowers because they're nice and bright, and the kind of stuff that I want to do here shows up quite nicely with bright colors. So if you want to add in some texture and you want to do it through blend modes, there's a simple way to do it. The first thing you want to do is you want to go to File, Place Embedded. Now, I've gone ahead and downloaded some textures already. Now, you guys can go and get your own textures if you want to work along with me, or if you want to work along on your own and just do it on your own time, that's fine too. I've gone ahead and selected some vintage styles, and I've also got a rust one. I'm going to select a rust one first because it has the most noticeable effect, even though you don't really want to add rust into flowers, but we're going for the tutorial purposes here. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that. And I automatically open up like this. I'm just gonna hit OK, and boom, it's in the middle of the picture, and that's obviously not what we want. The second thing we want to do is we want to increase the size of this, so we want it basically to cover at a minimum the entire picture. It doesn't have to be exact, guys, because we're just sort of roughing this in. This is not a huge deal. And then of course hit enter, and bang, we've gone ahead and added in a texture on top of our photo. Now at this point it looks pretty bad, but here's the good part. We can go ahead and with blending modes we can start to make some changes. Now normally you can just click on it and drop down, and you'll start to see some changes eventually like this. Or alternatively, I recommend that you guys hit the shift and the plus and the minus keys, and you can cycle through the different changes, one at a time. So I'm going to hold down shift, and then I'm going to hit the minus key, and then we're going to see what dissolve looks like. No good. Normal, that's standard. Okay, luminosity. Okay, maybe you're going for that kind of look. Color, etc., etc. Guys, I'm just clicking through them, and you'll see that we're adding all sorts of different looks, all sorts of weird kind of way out there textures, but the one I'm actually looking for is overlay. And here we go. So we've added this texture. It still doesn't look like anything you'd want to, work with. The next thing I recommend that you do is you want to go into the opacity and start dropping this. This basically acts as a secondary blend in terms of how much of the original, or how much of the texture do we want to sort of show through. Now keep in mind that this is blending both the texture and the colors. So let's just say we're going with an opacity of, I don't know, let's say 30%, something like that. Click out. Okay, so we've got some strange texture in the background. Regular with rust. Now I'm going to delete the rust because generally that's not the kind of texture you're going to want to add in, but we just did that to show you real quick. The next one we're going to add in is File, Place, Embedded right here. And instead of that one, let's go with this vintage brown paper. So we're kind of going for some sort of vintage photo type look with the background there. So I'm going to hit OK on this. And again, it's not up to size, so I'm just going to increase the size a little bit. If you want to keep it constrained, you can hold down shift. It doesn't matter too much as long as it's kind of fits the original. I'm going to hit enter. Again, this is obviously not what we want. We want to start working in the blend modes. Let's go to overlay because this is a good one. And boom, when you look at it just like that, guys, we've got actually a really cool effect. It sort of has that vintage, this was, maybe this picture was taken on a Polaroid in the 70s. Now again, you can go over here and start working with the opacity. And if we start lowering the opacity of the texture, it even sort of blends a little better. So maybe if we want to go to like a 50 or what do you think, 60% opacity? Okay, we've got a nice cool vintage looking effect. If I click the eyeball off, that's our standard. Click the eyeball on, we've got that effect. Now you will notice that it's a little bit brighter because it is combining the original colors of the texture. So what we can do is you can go up here, and if you want to just get rid of, you want the texture but without the color, there's a nice easy way to do that. You go to filter, drop that bad boy down, and then go to camera raw filter. And you could have done this at the original install point too, but let's just do it here. And now go over to the fourth one from the side, HSL grayscale. Now convert this to grayscale. Click OK. Now we're not adding in the color, and I'll show you. This is with the color of the texture added in. This is, when I click that on, is without the color, but it is adding in the texture, guys. This here is a way to add a lot of freaking cool features to your textures, to your images, pardon me. Of course, I just used a couple example textures, but there's literally like millions of them online, so feel free to experiment, test this stuff out, guys. I hope this quick video helped out. I've got a lot more stuff coming on Photoshop, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.